No intro, just go.
All
Let's
right,
go.
We're live now, everyone.
Woo!
What a game!
Yes.
Oh! All right. Okay. How about that?
Oh my god!
Whoa, totally out. Totally
Cardinals,
out.
Cardinals.
In case you missed it, folks, the Arizona Cardinals just pulled off a win in overtime
Win.
on a fumble recovery return for a touchdown by Byron Murphy Jr. in a game where in the first half the Cardinals put up 0 points, gave up 20 points.
Woo!
All right, raise your hand if you thought this team was going to win going into halftime. Right. Raise your hand if you were ready to say blow this shit up going into halftime. Raise your hand if you're going to shotgun a beer. That's Jackie, right? You don't have to shotgun.
Oh, let's go,
I'm
Jackie.
not gonna shotgun this.
Yeah, well, I'm just okay. So we just went a little, yeah. All right, let's.
Oh.
Okay. In
Evan
case you
called
didn't
that, by the
notice, we're all just kind of in the moment, kind of reacting. We just went. That game ended, and Evan's like, "Go live now." I'm like, "You got it." All right, immediate reaction, folks. This team. Listen, I think we were all kind of ready to kick dirt over this team, right? kick dirt on the grave. They weren't looking good, right? And all of a sudden, right? Now I'm just waiting to see that the score is final. Is it? I hope we didn't go live and that there's some sort of. Are they reviewing it? I guess they review everything, right? So I think it's official, right? I can't hear anyone else.
Yeah, they're questioning if he fumbled it going over the goal line. Oh my God.
What?
Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy.
I'm hearing yes or 2023. All right, so are they reviewing that?
They are reviewing if he dropped it before the goal line.
Oh, that would just be like, of course, right?
Right.
Right.
Well, they said it was close, but everybody's saying it's a ruling
won?
on the field stands as called per Craig Grillo. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
I can hear my husband clapping out there, so I was assuming that was happening.
That was close. All right. So this is going to be a very different live stream than we thought we were going to have, right? There's still some things to be concerned about, right? So
Absolutely.
we'll talk about the good and the bad. But let's go through around the group, starting with Jackie. Tell me your headline. I know we're dropping this, but what's your big takeaway, your big headline, going based on this game?
We're not dead. This team fights. We thought we were out of it maybe after like the second time they scored, but that scramble that Kyler had for that 2-point conversion, despite not playing well in the first half and all the negativity surrounding him, that's why you pay him, because he can do things like that.
100%. I mean, listen, I know he didn't have a great game at points, right? He had that interception that was really ugly. There were some things the offense stalled, but like, whereas last week, like the game was so out of hand, like you don't win even with a better game from Kyler last week because the defense was so bad. Like they don't win this game without Kyler doing Kyler things. You know what I'm saying? Right. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but Kyler did Kyler things that only Kyler can do. And they don't win without those. Evan, what's your big takeaway? What's your headline from this game?
What did I say last week about what this team needed to do going forward? They needed to look at themselves in the mirror and see what kind of team they wanted to be. They were down 20-0, and we got that answer. They could have packed it up, sold it in, said, you know what, maybe let's move on to next week or screw Cliff or whatever. No, they didn't do that. They came back. And they had an amazing victory. There's so many things we need to work on, but this is going to help so much more going into next week, where the Rams do not look like the Rams, and that defense got shredded for 6 straight quarters and gave up 3 points in the second half and overtime combined. And what you said, Joe, they won the game. The defense came out and won that game. So just knowing that they can do that again, I think is going to give them the confidence they need moving forward. but holy hell, what a scramble of a game.
Yeah, and I think you both hit it right. Like I just think the Monty Python not dead yet. Right. With Jack. This team's not dead yet. It's the kind of it. Listen, would you love to have seen them come out and kick butt and blow out the Raiders and dominate? Yeah, but there's a certain part of me that says it's nice to see them win a gritty game, like, where they had to make adjustments. You were talking about that before we went live. They made adjustments, right? On defense, especially gave up 3 points after halftime with a defense that really looked really bad last week, right? The offense came to life. Man, real quick, want to say hey to all the folks in here. Probably can't get to everyone, but Nick, he dropped this comment before we went live, and Nick, we all felt like it looked like another loss, right? But they somehow managed to pull it out. GLY, thanks for being here, or GWY, thanks for being here. Kyler got so icky tricky tinked into throwing that interception. Yeah, that wasn't good, that one. Bird pity, Silver Wolf, right? Kyler deserves better coaching, right? But things change, right? Calvin, thanks for being here. Could end up as one of Kyler Murray's greatest comebacks. I mean, maybe. I mean,
that 2-point conversion, the scramble was incredible. I mean, the Hail Murray, I felt like our defense just couldn't do anything, and so it was just a back and forth game. I don't know if that was exactly a comeback like this, right?
Right. It went back and forth, right? Because they scored a great touchdown at the end of the week. So like that was like the Hail Murray was the best single play, but like this was a more drawn out comeback, right? This was more than just one play, right? So thanks for that. We got Tony Height. Thanks for being here. Oh my God, yes, exactly. Got David P. Let's go. Lord Dane, what a game, 100%. We got Vaughn, what a game, absolutely. OC, first half I gave up. Listen, I think we all did, right?
I was about to turn it off.
So listen, you're not alone, right? Gabbo's World, thanks for being here.
Can I point out one stat, Joe, that we're all going to be really happy about?
Yes.
Chandler Jones, 0 sacks today.
Nice. Yes. Now, his running mate had some, but Chandler Jones, right? So that we're all happy to see Chan quite, right? Justin Sue, we won. Yes, we did, right? OC, thanks for being here. That was close. David P, let's go. Right. We got Brian Elawan, thanks for being here. Woo! Trevor Thatch, what a game. Exactly 100%. Let's see, who else do we Tim, absolutely awesome. Meme source, insanity, right? Landon Massey, what a roller coaster. Juan
right.
What a game, right? Edward Batista, LMAO, bro. Best game ever, even though I was mad at the first half. Brian's developing well, right? Robert G, someone with a great play, or Simmons with a great, we'll need to talk about that because Simmons was benched for much of this game. He made a nice play later. Then we'll get back to some of the folks in the chat in a bit and say hey to some of the rest of the folks. But let's get into this. All right, let's kind of take this the same way the game goes. Let's start with the bad, right? And then we'll come back around to the stuff that was good, right? So, Jackie, what were a couple of the things that were concerning for you in this game? Some things that they might still need to address, or some things that worry you based on what you saw, particularly in the first half of this game.
Just the stoppage of the run. Like, we couldn't stop Josh Jacobs, and he hasn't been the back that he once was, but he looked like a superstar today. And the covering the tight ends, the linebacker play was abysmal. I thought that we could definitely get to Derek Carr better with our pass rush, but that didn't seem to be the case. So he looked comfortable for a lot of that game. And then on the offensive side, kind of what we saw last week, just kind of mismatched, unprepared. Kyler didn't really play very well, took a long time to get his reads right. But I mean, I had so much to say and to rip this team apart, and now it's all gone out the window with that ending.
Evan, what were some of the kind of the negative sides for you before we get into what the more of the positive side of things? Oh, you're muted, buddy.
Sorry, I was muting it because I was listening to this. I got a great video I want to show you guys, the team coming off the field when we get to the positive side of stuff. So feel free to share my screen then. But I mean, the negative stuff, man, I almost feel like so many adjustments were made. I just don't even care about that. Like the game wasn't even about that. They had a game plan, came out, didn't work. They made adjustments. And they did what they were supposed to do. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs game. Yeah, you saw like an adjustment like here or there on offense to get a couple points on the board, but nothing was done defensively. And I feel like that's what we need to talk about. So we can talk about all the bad things, but I think going forward, knowing that they can make the adjustments into the second half, that is way more important than the things that they did not do in the first half, because they obviously corrected it. Now, along with the negatives, these false starts, man, these false starts coming out of, or delay of games too, excuse me, coming out of timeouts, coming off of penalties, coming off of dead plays, things like that, that has to stop. Kyler Murray and his awareness of the clock and situation is almost like he's playing on rookie mode on Madden right now. That stuff has to change. He's got to get that shit together. They got to get to the line, get up to the line 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds sooner. Like they're getting there, they're getting ready. He's looking at everything and there's already 8 seconds on the clock. And then he wants to casually walk up, make some sort of call, talk to his running back, 3, 2, shit, timeout. And excuse my language. And they got to stop doing that. They got to get to the line at the 14, 15 second mark if that's what they're going to be doing. And I like that Kyler can do that, though. I like that he has the freedom to be able to change that. That's obviously important. And I feel like when he did change it, we did get a couple good things out of it. I mean, there was a couple times where we saw Darrell Williams go from the left to the right side, and then they run for the first down for 2 or 3 yards when it was second, third, or short, whatever it may be. But they've got to get that awareness together, and they've got to start, firing on all cylinders when it comes to the communication part. And then I want to talk about the drops with AJ Green and Hollywood Brown at the end. It was like a case of the drops all day today, but they persevered. They came back. But those are my negatives right now, as well as Cliff Kingsbury's play calling. But it did get better today.
Yeah. I want to real quick throw a shout out. Thank you for the super chat to this is Marcos Labrada, who actually writes for AZ Sports Underground. He's one of our fellow writers. Thank you for the super chat. Why was Simmons bench? I was Ubering throughout the game. We'll watch condensed tonight. First, of course, let me say for the super chat, thank you. So there wasn't an injury that I know of, and I didn't. It's weird because I was wondering about what was going on with Isaiah Simmons, because I didn't see like this super egregiously bad play from him early in the game where it's like, remember like his rookie year, there was that big old touchdown to Raheem Mostert that he gave up and he kind of got benched after that. I didn't see a play like that this game with Simmons. Last week, he really struggled against the tight end. So I have to wonder if he maybe had some plays early where he was missing his assignments or just not getting the job done. They pulled him out. He came back and made a big play late in the game, right? So he was on the field there. But, I mean, I am a little worried about Simmons. I mean, he's got so much talent. I think he's a smart kid. He's mature. But, he hasn't played well this year so far, and he struggled some last year, even though he played full time. Zaven looked more solid. I mean, he wasn't perfect, but he was making some nice tackles. I'm more worried about Simmons than Zaven right now. That's for me one of the concerns is I like Isaiah Simmons. I want him to work out, but I'm a little worried that he's too much of a tweener, and like he struggled in coverage, and that's where you needed him to be strong. And he's maybe not quite built for mid to be the ideal inside linebacker. Maybe he's a weak side linebacker, but I'm a little worried about that. And then I would also say, to your point, Evan, the receivers, if you look at this game, they won, but like the running backs made most of the big plays throughout the game. There were a few, the AJ Green 2-point conversion, was nice. Although we were lucky it wasn't, considered drop, but there were too many drops by the receivers. The receivers couldn't get into the game. Kyler made things happen, and the running backs were the biggest cog in the offense. So that for me is also a concern, the receivers moving forward. But resilience, right? Getting their shit together, figuring it out, right, when it counts, and the kind of win you can build something on, right? So, Jackie, let's start with you. Where do you go from here? What do you take from this if the Cardinals, and how do you build on this? How do you use this to move forward and to make something out of this?
Well, like you said, resilience. Because we were watching the game before we went live, and we said, if we lose here, this is something we can build on because the momentum was there. And like I said, we're not dead. And that's kind of the biggest thing from last year, the second half collapse. I said, this is a team that, you can either roll over and die or you can, stay alive and fight. And they really fought for this. So now you can really build on that. And then I think, the defense, they really pulled it together in the second half. They played a lot better. And I think they can probably rally behind that as well. We might get some pieces back next week too. But overall, I mean, this was a great team win because defense stepped it up. Offense, was firing. And then hopefully too, like what Evan was saying about the receivers with their drops, hopefully they can kind of learn to hang on to the ball more. But run game was actually looking pretty solid too. Hopefully we can definitely use that this next game, along with the tight ends. Once we start getting the tight ends involved, good things happen.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to say a huge thank you. Thank you, GW Wow, for the super chat or super sticker. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support from everyone who watches and who gives, especially when they, give that to help me upgrade and keep building on what I'm doing here. So yes, thank you so much sincerely for the support. And so Evan, what do you think? Where do you think they go from here? What do you take from this? How do you build on this game?
But let's watch the video that I shared to you. I want you guys to see this and watch when Steve Keim comes up here. This just epitomizes it, and everybody's just cheering. There's nothing really going on. You're gonna see what Steve Keim says in a minute here, but watch the players coming off.
Now we can't hear it.
No. Everybody's happy here. You're just here cheering right now. Now here comes. Look at Steve Keim. Let's go. Right behind him, Adrian Wilson. And the whole team is just coming out in full support. And that is a happy team right there. Look at that.
That's what you need to, right?
We thought our season was over this game, the first half of this game.
Yeah, exactly.
We thought
that's pretty much it right there. So positives I did see. I thought I saw quite a few good things from Rashard Lawrence today too. He was in the backfield quite a bit, had a couple tackle for losses. That is really good to see. I saw Lecky Fotu mixing it up a couple times. Didn't see him make too many plays, but I noticed him a little bit more. JJ Watt's return. Let's talk about that for a second, actually. And in my opinion, I mean, the second play of the game, he goes up and gets a sack. It was their only sack of the game. But you did see him noticeably getting double teamed, right? Which I did think it freed up Lecky and Rashard Lawrence. Didn't see too much from Zach Allen. I could be wrong about that. I'm looking forward to going back and rewatching that again.
He had two quarterback hits and 2 tackles.
Oh, there we go. I'll absolutely take that. So that's an absolute positive with him coming back, looking good, looking fresh. After that, is it Nick Vigil or Vigil?
I think it's Vigil. Is it Vigil? Oh, shows what I know. Okay.
Yeah. So he was flying around the ball and he looked so much better than Isaiah Simmons. I think I am to the point where I can comfortably say that Isaiah Simmons is a bust. That's where I'm at. Third season, and your backup guys, like Vigil, and Tanner Vallejo and Ben Neiman are out snapping you. Yeah, I think you're a bust. Now, I think some of that is also on the coaching staff being like, go ahead and learn every single defensive position, and here's the green dot. Good luck. I think that was the wrong move. It should have gone to somebody like Vigil to begin with, or Jalen Thompson even, but obviously that didn't work out. Today, the green dot was Zaven Collins.
Did he have the green dot?
He had the green dot today. It was reported a bunch of times. Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I think Zaven had a solid game, knowing that he had to call plays and line everything up. Does that change your impact on Zaven Collins of what you thought of him, Joe, knowing he was the one calling the plays?
Yeah, I didn't know he had the green dot, so that's good. I mean, he had 8 tackles, which was solid, and I thought he looked solid. I look forward to seeing the PFF grades because sometimes there's some stuff that in covered, but overall to the eye test, I thought he looked solid. And to know that he had the green dot, which I didn't know, thanks for sharing that. That's even more impressive because the big concern with the deal with Zaven Collins was the physicality and the skill set and the prototypical linebacker traits are all there. It was, could he put it together between the ears and, kind of figure it out? and to hear that they gave up 3 points in the second half, 23 points total with this defense personnel with the injuries, like, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty damn good job with that green dot, right? I mean,
yep. And
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
What? No, last thing that I think is very important, and I just had it up and then I switched. Where is it? Devontae Adams, 2 receptions, 12 yards. He did have that short touchdown right there, but that is locking him up.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up. Like, stat line of right, the touchdown, you're not going to, fine, right? It's gonna happen. But 2, like, they thought he was going to destroy us, right?
Right.
He should have, in theory.
His parents were there. His grandparents were there. That was the first time.
Right? Oh, well, like, no one had 100 yards receiving, right?
No.
So, like, Renfro had 58 yards. Waller had 50. They spread it around, right? They had a total of 251 yards passing. Real quick, I just want to answer. So, Pancake, thank you again for the super chat. No, Chan did not get a second Kyler, but Max Crosby did. But, like, yeah, I mean, like, the cornerback group, like, Marco had the bad pass interference. That's, it wasn't perfect. But, like, this cornerback group that we're all worried about, like, gave up they only had 251 yards passing in a game that went to overtime, with Devontae Adams having 12 yards, no one having over 100 yards. Like, that's a pretty damn good job by the cornerbacks and the defense as a whole. But, like, that cornerback room did not get torched, right?
Real quick, Kyler Murray's in the press conference, and he just quoted, "Our guys just refused to lose in the second half. We never blinked."
Man.
Leader stuff right there.
Stuff right there. Kyler Murray with a game. And Joe, are we going to talk about the overall stats at all? Because I got a couple mind-blowing stats here for you.
Let's bring it up. Bring it, man. You bring it.
Total plays, we had 78 total. They had 61. After the first half, we had, was it 19 plays to 38?
Something like 39 to 19, I think.
Yeah, and something like that. Yards per play was exactly the same at 5.3 to 5.3. We had 413 total yards of offense. They had 323. We held them to 80 yards rushing. We had 12 penalties for 120. That's a huge concern. They had 10 for 68. And we owned time of possession by almost 7 more minutes.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that first half went, it's like mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Real quick, Lance, he did say this. Who said the cornerbacks need to play well for us to win? Oh, yeah, that was me. Yeah, good job of that, Lance. Yeah, man, I mean, the game ended so much differently than how it felt starting out, right? All those stats point to a story. And Kyler's right. I mean, listen, and, like, it wasn't pretty in the second half either, right? It was drops, it was passes, it was a first and goal where they tried like 3 passes in a row and couldn't get it, and then finally Kyler ran it in. Right? It was Kyler on a play that they clocked, it was 20.8 seconds, right? Where Kyler's in the back, like in the pocket, and then kind of dancing around the backfield waiting for someone to get open, and it felt like forever. And then finally he's like, just screw it, I'm gonna do this, right? And he runs it in.
He ran for 40 yards that play, pretty much.
And what about the drive before when it was 2nd and 1 from like the 9-yard line or something? Couldn't do anything there. 3rd and 1, throw a fade to Marquise Brown. 4th and 1, went for it and didn't go for the field goal when we still had 7 points, and it should have been 23-10 at that point. But they decided to go for it and they miss. And then the Cardinals defense forces a 3 and out.
Yeah.
And then we go to the play that you're talking about.
Right. So it wasn't pretty, right? I mean, the pretty plays didn't work, right? The deep pass on 4th and 1 to Hollywood that he dropped, right? All the pretty plays, for the most part, like, did not work. It was the gritty, plays, just kind of finding a way to make it happen. It was the defense on that fumble recovery. I mean, and people said last week, does that look like a $230 or $260 million quarterback or whatever? Listen, he didn't have a great game last week, and this wasn't a pretty game, but, like, that's why you pay Kyler, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying after that
Yeah.
2-point conversion scramble. I looked at my husband and said, "That's why you pay Kyler."
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mhm.
Say
Not
that
many-
again, Jackie. Can you say that again?
That's why you pay Kyler.
There it is.
Yep.
So even when it's not pretty, right? So listen, I want to just say real quick to folks in the chat. I can't get to everyone, but we got Arjun who's here. Wow, right? We got Decimus. Thank you for being here. You don't give up on Simmons too much. Listen, I think they need to try to keep him. They need to put him in one spot and leave him there. Whether it's safety or I think weak side linebacker is probably what, because of the safety situation. They've got so many, right? But they need to stop trying to do the star backer thing. Let him get good at one position and then maybe branch out. Stop trying to do too much. Glarple, thanks for being here. Let's go back to Constitution. Wow, what a game. Thank you for being here. Ghost Balls, not gonna lie, I was ready to start hating. Hey, so were we. Okay. JJ Harrison and people was giving up on Simmons. I mean, listen, I was worried. Listen, he did something nice at the end. So let's see, right? Where do they go from here? Not Mario. You got to think the Raiders barely played in the second half, right? Joshua Taylor, Chudat, thank you for being here. All right. I can't get to everyone, but I want to say hey to a few people. All right. Rashard Lawrence, nice tackle for loss. You mentioned him. Listen, I think he's part of the solution on interior defensive line. I've been saying that since last year. He's a guy I've been a fan of. It was nice to see JJ Watt back. I still think they need some depth there, but they look good. But I am worried a lot with what I've seen from the outside linebackers, because that's 2 games without a sack from an outside linebacker. What are your thoughts on that, Jackie?
I mean, do we know any good outside linebackers that are just
hanging out
unemployed right now? Hanging out.
JPP is who everyone's talking about. Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah.
Right?
I wouldn't mind bringing him in. I think if we would have lost in how the game was going in the first half, if that carried on to the second half, then yeah, you sign JPP tomorrow. But I mean, everybody else are capable of stepping up, so they should step up. But I don't hate at this point. I don't hate adding depth, because we're probably one key injury away from doom and gloom, maybe.
Yeah. Evan, what do you think about the outside linebackers?
I didn't see much of Marcus Golden. I didn't see Devon Kennard. I see he had 1 tackle. I don't even remember seeing that, to be honest with you. Maybe Isaiah Simmons needs to be that guy. Maybe he just needs the outside rusher. You know what I mean? Why not? I mean, he's fast and athletic. Why not? If he needs to back up in coverage for a second, I think we all wouldn't mind seeing that, as long as he's not guarding somebody going 20, 35 yards downfield. I just didn't see a lot of them. I did see Dennis Gardeck quite a few times get in there and almost get a couple of sacks or strips or whatever it be. But it's a huge need. But yet here we are 1-1.
Yeah. Rashad says play the rookies, and I tell you, like, I wouldn't mind seeing. Myjai Sanders was an inactive again, and they numbers wise they got to have someone inactive, so I get that. But he's got a quick first step. I wouldn't mind seeing. Cameron Thomas has got a skill set to build on. I wouldn't mind seeing some of them in there, but Gardeck, even though he's not getting sacks, I'm with you. I saw him. He was kind of all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a good way, right? So. I love Marcus Golden, so hopefully we'll see better production from him. I just worry that maybe he's getting, I don't know, they're kind of keying in on him as the number 1 pass rusher. Getting JJ Watt out there healthy was nice. So hopefully we'll see more from them. Real quick, I want to say thanks again. D-Lo, let's go. Simmons, Murphy, Kyler was 100%. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate D-Lo's a great part of the Discord. So if you aren't part of the Discord, the link is in the description below. A lot of great conversation game day in there, so please check that out. But of course, as always, thank you for that super chat and for the support of the channel. What about, can we talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Dortch? Like, Cardinals have found themselves a player, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Like, so let's kind of just talk about Dortch and how much we love him. Jackie, what are your thoughts on Dortch?
Dortch appreciation, yes. I love a guy that is under the radar. I talk with my co-host for my Friday show with Let's Talk Sports. His name is Dan. He's a Jets fan, so he always speaks highly of Dortch. Um, he said, you've got yourself a guy, and he's glad that we're able to actually get him involved other than just special teams. But it's really nice when someone can come in. Hopkins is out for suspended, to just be solid. We haven't had a very solid player outside of Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins in a long time, and it's he's not like a first round draft pick. It's there's just so much I can say about him, and it's really cool that he's on the team and he's actually getting the love and attention that he deserves.
Yeah, Evan, what are your thoughts on Dortch?
Dortch the torch, man. I love him. You're right. He's become very reliable with I didn't see any drops from him or nothing like that. I loved what I saw. I'm off the Rondale Moore train completely because dude hasn't been healthy since 2019 at Purdue. So I'm completely off of that Rondale Moore train, and to the fact where I don't even want him to be on the available roster because I don't know what that would mean for Dortch. You know what I mean? So just give all the playing time to Dortch as you can. I love watching him play. You're right. 4 targets, 4 catches, 55 yards and a tutty. His long one, he had the 29-yarder as well too. I love watching him play, and I can't wait to see what he does when Hop comes back in 4 games. Or 5 or whatever.
Yeah. And, as the adage goes, the best thing about Dortch, or one of the best things, is at least at this point, he has the most important ability, and that's availability, right? He's been healthy. Exactly. I love Dortch going back to last year. In the preseason, he looked good in limited touches last year. He only had a few touches during the regular season, but he looked good in every one of them. We saw what he did this preseason. So I've kind of been on the Dortch train at least a little bit since last year. Like, hey, we need to see more from him, right? And we're seeing more from him. He's being called into action because of, injuries and such and suspensions. And this is a guy you keep on the roster for sure. Like, listen, I still love Rondale Moore. The talent when he's healthy, but of course that's the problem. But the talent is like, there's not many people who move like Rondale Moore, but if you can't rely on him being there, what are you supposed to do with that, right? But Dortch is just like, man, that's the guy you want as a slot receiver, right? He's shifty, he's talented, he catches the ball, right? Dortch should still be in there even when guys are healthy, and I think he's earned that, right? So for sure. So man, I look forward to him being a part of this offense moving forward. Any other players y'all want to talk about? Anything else you want to bring up? I know Sunday night game is probably started at this point, so we're not going to stick around too much longer here. But anything else you want to highlight or bring up from this game? Any other observations or anything, Jackie, that you want to mention before we get out of here?
Run game was solid. We have gotten a lot of criticism about keeping 5, running backs. But Connor got banged up and he went out, which injury with Connor was a little bit of my concern. So it was good strategy to keep 5 running backs. And then Eno and Darrell Williams, they really stepped up. And I think if we were to get the ball, maybe the first possession, we established that run game. It could have been a different game all 4 quarters, but running game is not a concern with this team.
Evan, what are your thoughts?
Zach Ertz, 8 receptions, 75 yards. He was clutch when we needed him the most, and he had an edge to it too, which I really loved. Lastly, as fun as that was, this isn't November yet. You know what I mean? When we historically collapse with Cliff Kingsbury. So we're only 1-on-1, and you need it to keep on going and keep your season alive, yada, yada. I think what was the playoff percentage? If you're 1-1, like 50% of the teams make it or something like that. Like, if you're 0-2.
I think it was like 42%, and then it was 11%.
If you're 0-2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's huge for that, but this is only a game. It is only one game. It is only one win, unfortunately, as fun as it was. And let's not be that fan base that goes out and starts retweeting and talking smack to Raiders fans and doing all that type of BS and getting that type of karma, or money guy when it came to the Phoenix Suns.
Oh God, that guy's the worst.
So in fact, I can't find it now. I saw something when it was 23-7, fans in the end zone on the front row, in the back of the end zone of the Raiders. They were Raiders fans. They were popping champagne bottles and going like this and spraying it off and everything. And then they lose. Like, let's not do that. Let's accept it for the win and move on. Because if Renfro doesn't fumble that, Dan Carlson easily could have lined up for a 58-yard field goal or something like that. So let's also keep this in perspective. And there's a lot of miscues and a lot of things to shape up. But I'd rather be doing this now as opposed to November, December, right?
Yeah.
So let's just hope we trend in that direction. And this was kind of all a part of Cliff's magical plan, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. You know, to both of your points, you know, this better to kind of struggle now, grit it out, and if we can kind of actually play well down the stretch, we need to see if we can do that. With all the injuries, to get a win right on the road, right? But here we are, right? It's like last year, wins on the road, losses at home. Let's see if hopefully that pattern doesn't persist, right? But Jackie, the running game, and you're absolutely right. Like, they ran for 143 yards, 28 of that was Kyler. So there was still, well over 100 yards from the running backs. They spread it out, averaged 5.1 yards per carry across the board as a team running. So like, they ran the ball well, even with Connor, not only having 7 carries, right? So they have a good deep rotation running backs that they can depend on, right? So, and then Evan, to your point, let's stay classy, Arizona, right? We don't want to be those fans, right? I think the money counting dude might be why the Suns lost in the playoffs. I think karma just said no chip for you, right?
Yep.
So
let's not do that.
Let's not be that guy. All right, we're gonna wrap this. Sorry, I couldn't get to all the comments in the chat. There, we had up to 100 folks in here at one point. So thank you all for hanging out with us. We can't get to all the comments in a short time, but thank you for being here. It's such an exciting game. Make sure, and I want to ask everyone who's in the chat, if you are not already subscribed to the Redbird Red Zone podcast and the He's on Fire podcast, the descriptions are below. Like, before you leave this video, open up both of those links and go subscribe. These two wonderful folks do a great job. If you want kind of some fun, irreverent Cardinals talk that feels a little like, kind of the Pat McAfee style, you're going to love Jackie's Redbird Red Zone team. I've hung out with them and it was a blast. If you want to get great podcast content on the Cardinals, the Suns, the Diamondbacks, ASU, all the Arizona sports, check out the He's on Fire podcast. They do a great job kind of covering it all. I've hung out with them too. There's a reason I've invited them both to be part of this, this post game, because they're both great people who do great work. Please go support them, go subscribe, follow them on Twitter. They're both great follows. So please, before you get out of here, folks, do that.
No more Herm Edwards, baby. No more Herm Edwards, baby. Let's go.
Right. It's a good day on two fronts, right?
It really was. I really needed that.
It's coming up aces all around. So we're going to get out of here, but let me give I know I just gave a big shout out and plug for both of you, but you all say whatever you want to say to the folks before you get out of here. Jackie, what's your final word you want to say?
Well, thank you all for coming and hanging out with us. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at jsandiego. That is 2 O's. You can listen to the Redbird Red Zone podcast. We are a little R-rated. I do get a little raunchy. But it's good content there. I love my co-hosts. This was a great win. I'm so stoked. I can't wait to call my family right now. My dad's a Cardinal season ticket holder. So I'm really excited that he gets to see a win. Our connection with football is very solid.
Awesome. Evan.
Yeah, one thing we didn't say real quick that I just noticed, Trey McBride was not a healthy scratch. He was on there, didn't see the field at all, I don't think, wasn't targeted, didn't get anything. So just something to keep of note. At Coach Evan B on Twitter, follow us at He's on Fire Pod. He's on Fire Podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, yada yada, all the fun stuff. Go and give us a listen. I'm going to try to get on our friend, the SC Experience, who's on YouTube. He's a Raiders podcast. Really cool guy, really down to earth and not biased at all. Going to try to get him on with us tonight too to cover everything that what happened. And I'm really looking forward to see what this team can do against the Rams, who don't look like they were last year. You still got Cooper Kupp and whatnot to deal with, but that's what my attention is now focusing on. You know, I can't wait to go back and see some of these reaction tweets that we had and watch that fumble recovery 1,100 times. But now we're moving on to the Rams, you guys. That's what really needs to happen, and we need to come out and give us another solid, strong effort. It's a grind, man. Let's see what the injury report looks like, and on to week 3.
100%. Well, y'all, hopefully you're subscribed to my channel, the Cardinal Rule. If you're watching here tonight, also check out all 3 of us write for AZ Sports Underground. Linked for that as below. We cover all the Arizona teams. And we're also looking for folks to write. So there's a write for us kind of button on the about. Check it out. There's a link there if you're interested in writing. My Twitter handles below. And then Tuesday nights, I do a live stream that's kind of a midweek kind of talking about this game and preparing for the next. So come hang out on Tuesday night, and of course support all the folks that are doing great content for Arizona sports. Thank you all for hanging out. Sorry I couldn't get to all the comments in the chat. Like I said, it was just a busy hopping night, but want to get folks out of here so they can get to that Sunday night game. Thank you for being here. Great Cardinals win. This is a much better live stream than last week.
Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Yes, go Cards.
Peace.
Bye.